Hello, and welcome to a town called Bastard. This is him, Neill, and we are playing Crusader Kings 2. As you may have guessed from the local environment and the music, we are playing the Horse Lords expansion, which was just released hopefully today, if you're listening today. If not, then sometime in the past, depending on how far in the future you are. The Horse Lords expansion was released on 14th of July, which is today, as I said. And adds lots of content towards nomadic rulers, in this case Mongols, the Mongol Empire, but also some of the other steppe peoples, the Cumans, the Kipchaks, the Ogres, and so forth. In addition to the actual DLC itself, the content which I'm playing, I just want to run through a few quick things which have changed in case you've watched my other Crusader Kings 2 Let's Play of the Carling Restoration. The patch that came with it was actually quite substantial. It, I think it was 700 and something lines of the changelog. The most interesting one, or the most one that eagle-eyed observers would have witnessed and watched already, is that these profile rings of all the characters have changed. So, for instance, this character, which is Genghis Khan Temujin, or Genghis Khan, as most people will have known him, has these sort of gold or yellowish ring sort of ribbons around the ring. All the ribbons now of every character now indicates what kind of ruler they are. So I'm a nomad, and I'm currently at war. I start out at war with Sultan Muhammad of the Quasi-historical sultanate. Has green because it's Iqtar, which is basically like feudal, except it's wrapped some of the Muslim mechanics into it. What used to be Muslim mechanics are holding things like temples in addition to just castles, and various things like that, and revoking duchies for free. Meanwhile, feudal rulers gained the old sort of blue ribbon that used to be attributed to republics. Theocracies have gained white ribbons, merchant republics have gained bright red ribbons, and sort of normal republics have gained lighter sort of reddish pink ones there. And finally, tribal rulers, if I can find one, have these brown ones. And in fact, there's a new map mode, the government's map mode, which is quite nice and shows the government type. I think just at the top level these, because some of the lower theocracies and city-states around here don't have their own colours, but it's just quite a nice map mode. In addition, another bit of feature that's been introduced is the Silk Road. Now you can only build trade posts on the Silk Road if you have the DLC, but anyone can look at it, and it sort of comes across down here. All these provinces have this modifier, which increases the tax and gives some income. And if a different part of the route gets blocked, then further down the route will stop getting income, and the other route will start getting income instead. Blocking happens from sieges and other things like that. In addition, you can also build trade posts even if you're not a merchant republic, and even on land, which gives you money. Then you can also build forts, which I'll get to in a bit. I can't think of any other substantial patch general things aside from what we'll discover while playing, like forts. It's worth pointing though that for many players, people really tend to start on earlier start dates. As I'm at 1220, some people may not have seen all these bits. Hopefully they'll get a bit more of a look in with the new expansion. So in 1220 the world is a bit of a different place to 1066, especially 867 or 769. Lots more of Spain and the Iberian Peninsula is owned by Christians. England owned bits of France. The Holy Roman Emperor is also the King of Sicily, from the von Hohenstein. I apologise. Von Hohenstaufen dynasty. More obviously, the Byzantine Empire has been quite shredded by the Latin Empire at this point, after the Fourth Crusade of 1204. The Fatimids are long gone, as are the Seljuks, and it's all just a bit of a interesting place over here. We might touch upon bits of that later. For the moment, suffice to say, things are a bit of a mess in the Middle East here. A strong ruler will tend to emerge can come across there, which might be us. I believe historically it sort of was the Mongols. Anyway, as the Ilkhanate swept out along the sort of southern reach, the Golden Horde up north, and then eventually the Timurids later down here. The Ilkhanate tended to take, I think in reality took most of sort of Turkey and Armenia here, and large parts of the Middle East, while the Golden Horde took most of the steppes and the Rus before they both eventually, especially the Ilkhanate, crumbled into other states. We are playing right at the beginning of that, really, as Genghis Khan, or Temujin, in 1220. This is one of the bookmarks. It's been there for quite some time, but now it's has something more interesting to do with it, apart from just marching across the map. Now, there's all the standard stuff that we can do in terms of getting married and setting ambitions and choosing focuses. So I'll start doing that as we go, and then we'll see other more interesting bits, like these other wonderful icons. So I'm just going to choose, I only have one ambition to choose from, of becoming more prestigious, so I'll do that. Nomads do a lot of their thing via prestige. I can't set them right now, but as you can see it says it cost me 100 prestige to change any of them. There's also a number of casus belli, of reasons to go to war I can use, which require prestige, so declaring war for a duchy, for instance, requires prestige to use. What you also might notice is that lots of these lands have changed type. In addition to just the normal sort of castles and cities and such like, there's also these empty holdings, which indicates that they're not just empty, but they're in use by nomadic rulers. And you can build temples there if you want, but nomads gain a lot of manpower from these empty provinces, empty holdings. This manpower is really what we'd use instead of, say, levies or retinues, and that governs. And there's this sort of tab here in a military called Horde, which allows us to get quite a lot of different troops, different combinations of cavalry, lots of stuff we can get really. At the moment I'm not going to touch that because we start with a very big army, but as I said, first things first, we'll continue the setup. So I'm going to try to become exalted amongst men. In terms of focus, I was going to go for war, but as I had been through that a number of times with the Carlin game, and also because I'm getting on a bit, I'm going to choose hunting, which adds 1 health. Health, I think I mentioned in the previous Let's Play, is a hidden stat. The average is 5 for most characters, so an increase of 1 is actually quite a lot. And in fact, I have the hunter specialisation, so lifestyle trait, so it seems to suit. The next thing I'm going to do, you'll see that I've got a lot of holdings. As a nomadic ruler, I can hold nomadic provinces without really any penalty. So these bits there, I don't sort of add up to my domain limit. However, my clans will start objecting if I hold too much land. So in the special clans view, you can see all the clans of the Khanate. Currently there are 4, because my clan is one of them, Clan Borjadin. And as this little bit of warning says, that I have too much land, so I need to give them out, or the clans may think less of me. And as you can see, they do in fact think less of me. They think 120 less of me because I have too much land. So I'm just going to give a bit of it out. Now, part of me is tempted to respect the trade routes and try and keep land on it for more money. However, I want to eventually take Baghdad over here just because I can. Sacking of Baghdad was quite a famous event, so I'm going to try and take that eventually. So I'm not going to be too concerned with where I keep land for now. So with that in mind, I have 6 land I can give out, and 3 other clans I can give land to, which seems reasonable to split it up evenly. So I'm going to try and keep them relatively contiguous in terms of land. That's not going to be perfectly possible. I'm going to give Clan Neyman over here. It's worth pointing out, as a nomad, the top liege is always an emperor, and all the clans are always kings or king tier. This is to prevent you from being vassalised as a nomad, and also to allow me to vassalise anyone else. So there's no sort of duchy nomads. There's no king top level nomads. The clan of Neill, who is an historian, despite the fact that I'm Tengri and he's Christian, we don't really have much antagonism towards us. There's a normal infidel penalty and such like, but there's nothing that sort of stops me from running over them. I'm actually slightly disappointed in some ways that there is such an infidel penalty, because there was quite a lot of religious freedom in the clans, I believe. So I'm going to give Clan Name in these two provinces here in Khotan. And as you may have noticed, I have some of these teichis or castles. I have to give them out along with them. There we go. That's two given away. Clan Buryat can gain these two provinces here, Bega and Kangi. Actually, they have quite a lot of grazing land there. So I might keep them for a bit. So I might give them stuff with less grazing land. So instead, I'm going to give this Besud these provinces. What's this? Aksu and Yarkland. I'm going to apologise even more than I did during the Carling game, because my French pronunciation was pretty poor. However, I imagine my pronunciation of these sort of steppes and Turkic people's names is far, far worse. I say imagine because I'm deliberately not going to look it up, so I'll be ashamed of myself. And I'm also slightly more ignorant of some of the history of these lands. I know roughly about, as I said, that some of the later periods with the Ilkhanate in sort of Turkey and Armenia and Anatolia, and I know about the Golden Horn and the Rus. But this Far East, I'm somewhat more ignorant. So it's kind of fortunate then that I'll be making it up as I go along, playing an ahistorical game as I am. Now, I do have this wrong type of holding in domain warning. Now, I can give these away, which I think I'm going to do with these temples. Actually, no, that's not a temple, that's a fort. They're all forts. But what I can do instead is pillage them. This damages it. I think it destroys a building in it. Damages the land a lot with this debuff. Gains me some tech points. And it'll give me recently burnt land until a date, which is very helpful. But it gives me gold, and it can eventually destroy the holding, which means that I can then use it for grazing land. So I'm going to burn that. As you can see, there's this burn the land penalty, which is quite significant, especially with the revolt risk. Wow. But the recent modifier only goes away in a few months, so every few months really I can start pillaging. So I'm probably just going to shred this place, in all honesty. But I can only do that to holdings I own, so I'm going to have to just keep all of it. Just pillage all of these places. There are several advantages to pillaging that I can sort of immediately work out, aside from the fact that it gives me gold and tech points, and eventually will destroy the holdings so that I can get more manpower, which recovers over time, and so it gives me troops. It also means that if someone happens to take the land from me, i.e. a non-nomad, they don't get much use out of it. So there's lots of reasons to go down that route. Also, these other notices, I have over clan limit, so I have 4 out of 3 clans, because I don't have enough land to support all these clans. I could absorb a clan, which is one of the options here, but as I'm about to take a lot of land, I'm not going to do that. So let me see the point. I have this other warning here about too many holidays in my personal reign. I can only have 1 holding without penalty. I'm not really sure what the other penalties are. So I suppose I'll find out. Nothing really jumps out at me as being terrible. So I'm going to keep them, just keep burning them to the ground for now. what else should I be doing? Don't read the vassal inheritance warning for a second. It's just that people are in different courts and stuff. I can, however, get my heirs married. My firstborn son has no wife, so I'm going to marry him to someone. Yes, you'll do. And then my second-born son, marry someone as well. Just in case, so for reasons that will become clear soon, my sons might start dying on me. Not terribly impressed by any of my children, to be perfectly honest. None of them are great. So I might also take a concubine, or, two. I'll play the genetics game and see if there's any young courtier with good genetics. No, so I'm just going to take someone. Yes, you'll do. And then I'll search for my own court. That'll save some time. Yeah, or not. No. Yes, why not? Oh, okay. As they're all objecting a bit, I'm going to wait until I play some lands. I'll undoubtedly capture someone somewhere along the way. Similar to tribal vassals, which in fact you may not be aware, but for tribal and nomadic rulers, our tribes and nomads are called in to war like allies, and we don't just raise them as levies. I don't really think I need to do that because, as I said, I have 50,000 troops here. I'm sure to split these up because that's a lot of troops all at one go. Assign some commanders a bit. So, need them to march off. Over this way. And then I'll march over here as well. Now, if I remember correctly, the war I have is for Khiva, really. So I will take the Sultanate of Persia, but I'll also take all places I actually sort of occupy. I'm going to try and take as much land as I can before I get bored, really. In the meantime, I don't think there was anything else. Actually, no, I'll do my council. So I have a chancellor. My grandson, who's actually alright. I can marry these people off as well. And I'll have to wait till that negotiation's done. Yes, you can get married. You can get married. Excellent. Here's my council. I'm going to try and make some of my vassals like me more. I imagine they don't dislike, the major ones don't dislike me too much, they just gave them land. There we go. But this guy, the High Chief of Crusader, is actually just a feudal ruler, so it's a bit weird that he gets called a High Chief. It is one of the strange things about the way localization works, that because he takes his name and convention from my culture and religion. Really, I think he should still be called whatever he would be called otherwise, because he's a feudal ruler, and I'm a nomad, but neither here nor there. I can, instead of raising levies, I can train warriors to get manpower growth, so I'm going to do that a lot, because I have 15 out of 46,000 population, so I can gain a lot more. Also going to try and gain a lot more tax out of this guy, who I'm currently making like me more. Yep. As a nomad, I gain maximum tax and levies out of my vassals, out of the maximum possible, that is. So I can, which is quite good, but they'll still kind of dislike me if I do too much. I'm going to try and convert, why not? Ahistorical, who cares? There's also this quite nice minor titles view, so I can give out all the minor titles I want. And there's also, in this patch, commanders, so only people who I appoint as commanders can lead my armies. I already have 4 commanders out of 4, so I can't appoint any more right now. I think that's it, so I'm going to unpause and let the game begin. And already something has changed, and I've lost a steward. So, my grandson could be stewed, so he can go and get me some tax. I have a new heir. This is because, even though nothing has fundamentally changed, the succession law of nomadic titles is that based on nomad succession, which means that the son or brother, in some cases, with the most prestige inherits. Although if one of my clan leaders has a much higher prestige than me, they can inherit. And if my primary heir is a child, regardless of prestige, the cognate will be lost to the clanate will be lost to the clan chief. So really, it's quite important to make sure my heirs have lots of prestige. As you can see, his prestige has just gone over by 0.1. Wow, prestigious guy. So really need to make sure that whatever heir I get has more prestige than any of these three clans who are getting massive prestige every month in virtue of the fact that they're kingdoms, essentially. So I'm trying to make sure that my heir gets as much prestige as possible. And one of the ways you can do that with your heirs in particular is that you can, this is a nomad, send them off to become mercenaries. So now that the Joshi is now married, I'm going to click on him and I'm going to send him away to be a mercenary. It's a bit of a shame because he's a vaguely okay commander, but I'm going to send him away. Now, while he does this, he actually controls a mercenary company and starts getting massive prestige every month. There he goes. So he's gained this adventurer trait, which means he can gain various bonuses once they return to being a normal landowner. And he also starts gaining prestige every month. So he's been sent away, lots of prestige for the next 2 years. And then even after that, he still holds the duchy, which is of the mercenary company itself, which is quite a lot of prestige. The actual title sort of rings changed in addition to just the ribbons. So a duchy used to be a sort of a light blue ribbon. Now it's just represented by these blue gems, this blue gem here and that one there. Counts, if I can find a count, are fundamentally the same, just a silver ring. As are kings, just a gold ring, except with now the ribbon of the government type. But emperors like me have these purple gems, and there's purple gems there of the Latin emperor. Sorry, the Byzantine emperor, Latin emperor, and Kaiser. And here the Padishah of the Delhi Ultimate. Here's the Pope with his white ribbons, and American Republic with their red. And as I've sent people away, I have more people to educate all over the place. I'm going to try vaguely to make sure they get a good education, just in case their father inherits. Honestly, I'm hoping that particular guy's father doesn't, because he's pretty useless. Well, I might as well send him off to become a mercenary as well. Why not? At this point, might as well take what I can get. There we go. Grant more commander titles. Is there anyone useful I could add it to? My grandson. Yes, you can be a commander. I'm going to continue marching on. The king of the Cumans, Khan Gerjan of Turnu, has decided to settle down. So he's no longer nomadic, he's now a feudal ruler. Now that's a turn up for the bucks. Fascinating. I wonder how long he'll last. Where is he? Khanate of Turnu. Well, interesting. I've not played it, but I assume at the 867 start date, the Magyars basically start using that ability when they settle in Hungary. Shockingly, there are rebels after I'm trying to pillage their lands. God, just shocking, really. I don't have an awful lot of commanders, it must be said. Which is only why mercenaries are quite useful now, because they can always lead armies. because mercenaries come with 3 commanders. It's quite handy. Now, as you might guess, now a organised religion has sent a preacher to try and convert me. Hard luck. I could actually convert to Islam if I wanted, but I don't. It doesn't get much more complicated than that, really. Don't want to. Quite like staying Tengu for now. Interestingly, the disadvantages of being a unreformed pagan religion are that one of them is you get stuck with elected Galvakind, which is a really painful succession law. But as a nomad, I don't have it. I have the nomad succession law instead, which is far nicer. So it's actually quite advantageous in that respect, that you gain some of the benefits of Tenguism, which are they? Bonus to my light cavalry attack and defense, which, well, neither here nor there. I can get a head of religion. I can reform the faith, but I need lots of moral authority. I need to control holy sites. I need piety. Most difficult of which at the moment will probably be the moral authority that's at 25. It needs to be 50 when he goes up from holy wars and things. And I think there's about to be a number of crusade-like things. So there's a Sunni jihad for Sicily against the Holy Roman Empire. They might fail a bit at that. Wouldn't be surprised if there was a Catholic crusade coming along soon. Just to even it out. Probably for Jerusalem, because it's only slightly under control of Catholics. But it could be Andalusia. Often is. I find that Jerusalem or Andalusia are the one mainly picked. There's the way it's judged is that certain de jure kingdoms have different sort of weightings for crusades. Jerusalem has a very high one for Catholics, which isn't really a surprise given that it's a holy place. But you can never quite be sure what the AI is going to pick. Ooh, and I can now pillage again. So I'm going to do that. Give me some more gold. While the changes to the interface are quite nice in many respects for this, the fact that the pop-up appears up here rather than next to the option is slightly annoying. Imagine as I start doing dozens and dozens of those, it get particularly annoying. I will go for tolerance, why not? Let's have different religions. And he's got troops, great. These are actually fully hireable, as any of the mercenaries. There we go. They're being hired right now by the Khanate of Bulgar and the Delhi Khanate. So, good for them. Hopefully I won't face the battlefield and have to smash them. They start off quite small, so they're quite easy to hire, but they will grow. Oh, these rebels popping up. Anyone would think I was pillaging their lands. Don't know what would make them think that I was doing such a thing. I'm just moving around with this army trying to mop up some of the larger groups. This interface has also changed. There's gives you the time which it's going to do various things, damage and attack values, gives a bit more information. I don't normally study it in great detail. If I was just building a much smaller army and had to be much more concerned with these things, I probably would. So if it was the beginning of the Carlin game now, I might do it then. But as my armies, I don't really have much control over their composition at the moment, and these are event troops, and I have 50,000 of them, I'm far less concerned than I could be. going to start assaulting this stuff down. Assault, I think, is now based on. It used to be based on the skirmish phase, when the archers were really good at it. Now I think it's based on the melee phase. But I can still start chopping things down very well because I vastly outnumber them. So I'm just going to siege this down. It occurs to me that in the meantime I have these troops over here, and I could probably go raiding. So let's, I don't know if I can raid Brothers of the Faith, although these are Manicheans. Manicheans. So I'll give it a go anyway. I don't know if there's much I can loot there. There's 12 loot. Well, I'll go and loot 12 loot. Why not? Pillaging can continue. I might actually delay the pillaging until I win this war. It will get quite tiresome having to stop all the time to defeat rebels. Good. I was just about to mention it, but annoyingly the music has now stopped. There is some quite nice new music that came with this. It allegedly suits the steps. This is not it. This is basic Crusader King's team music, which is still quite nice. It isn't particularly relevant. When I become known as Genghis Khan the Hunter. Wonderful. With my massive horse archer horde, I am utterly destroying the enemy. Look at those horse archers. Wonderful. No, I'm going to go back to over here. Kiva. Excellent, he likes me more. Now, in this patch there's allegedly a... I imagine this is going to happen a lot, with these people switching control. There's allegedly a way to look at lower tier vassals. You could control left click, see the sub vassals, but that doesn't seem to be possible despite the early patch notes. Or I'm doing it wrong. Entirely possible that I'm doing it wrong. I don't seem to be able to see the vassals or vassals through any view at the moment. But I'm sure we'll see it again soon. So I've already won this war technically with a 100% war score. But I will take all of that land automatically. But I want to have as much of this land, so at least I have a contiguous realm. I don't think it really matters having a contiguous realm, but well, it's the point of the thing. So I'm just going to assault down all these lands. I was considering for a little while starting as a slightly lower tier ruler than Genghis Khan, but it just seems somewhat appropriate, doesn't it? I've heard persistent rumours from peasants and travellers that a strange mythical beast has been sighted in my realm, a white bear. I believe in Western lands it's a white stag that you can hunt for as well, and I think probably in India it's a white tiger. It's just slight bits of variation. Speaking of India, there is this button here that's been added that has regions. If I click on its province, it will show me that this belongs to the region of Persia in this green outline. If I go over here, for instance, and click on Germany, you can see that it's part of the region of Germania, and the region of Western Europe, and the region of Europe. Now, that's mainly useful for events and things. It doesn't really have a lot of a direct gameplay effect. Can't conquer based on region and things. There's a few things that make use of it, like the fact that you can now always hunt for white lions, white tigers in India, because India is defined by a region. But I imagine many mods are going to make a lot of use of it, as I imagine they'll make a lot of use out of things like the government system, which is quite nicely moddable, and things like, I don't know, the hordes system, the nomad system, also looks quite nice, and potentially quite usable for Dothraki, for instance, in Game of Thrones. I'm sure I'm far from the first person to have made this observation. If you haven't used the Game of Thrones mod, I'd either recommend rolling back a version of Crusader Kings 2 to an earlier patch or playing it, or just waiting until it's updated to the latest patch and then playing it. It is extremely good. It does some quite nice things. It's also quite nice as a change. Having played a lot of Crusader Kings 2 now, it is quite nice to just have a slightly different world look on things. And there should be things in this patch that suit it quite nicely, especially if they're modded quite a bit. I wonder how that Crusade is going. Jihad even. Well, no one important has joined the war on the Muslim side, whereas 2 republics and the Holy Roman Emperor are still defending for the Catholics. So I don't think that will go terribly well. Morale. That's a bit of a wasted event actually. I've gained a chance to gain more levy size, but I do not have levies. So that would seem that should be something to do with manpower growth, or something like that, to make it still useful. Never mind. No, I've completely forgotten. That's right. The Abbasids at this point were pretty independent after they were sort of massive clients of the Seljuks while they're around. Bit free now, and then the Ilkhanate would swallow them up again. And as I said, sack Baghdad quite badly. There is still time. We can do that ourselves. Ooh, I've managed to squeeze more money out of this guy. I'm not surprised he's not happy. Fortunately, I'm sending my Chancellor to make him happier with me, so even though I've improved his relations and squeezed him for tribute, so likes me about the same, really. I could even raise his levies, but there's not a lot of point. Though I am burning for these special troops quite a lot with tearing down these places. Probably still worth it. In fact, I'm going to try and convert my vassal Khan, as that's probably much more important in the long run. Though he's not a heretic. I'll have to try and convert a different one. I'll convert the Nestorian one. I'm tempted to take the Silk Road provinces just because. Yes, you marry someone. Which would mean taking those provinces as well. So I'll go over there. Excellent. I believe I said a bit ago about concubines. There you go. I think all of the pagan religions can take concubines. They're allowed to have children and things. Their children have slightly less prestige. Should really recommend this region. Their children get slightly less prestige or slightly less diplomacy for being children of concubines. But otherwise fully functional, they can inherit fine. It's mainly a way of making sure that, well, I think cynically it's a way of making sure that your lands get split from elective Galvakind, most pagans have. It can be quite useful to gain lots of heirs, because you can just set your have one wife which is old, and then set your concubines aside when you've had the right kind of heir. Awesome advantages to it. And as I don't really have any disadvantages from having my heirs, I mean really, I have as many as I want. The major disadvantage will come when I become one of my heirs, and his brothers might have a lot of prestige. But that's all part of the fun. And I'll play if I don't want to. At least a little bit of a challenge. There we go. I think I'm going to declare that war now. The land can get fragmented a bit. Here we go. Have fun. There we go. The Mongol invasion of Khwarezmia has ended. Genghis Khan has conquered the land. As you can see, my land now stretches over a bit of this territory. And I have in fact vassalised all of Persia itself and taken all this land in the middle. I have a lot of land now. I'm just going to pillage it a little and then give it away. This is a bit much. Don't really need all of this. And it's not empty land, so it's not terribly useful for me. I'm just going to pillage it and give it away. For pretty much everything, I think. I don't gain any more of anything, regardless of what I pillage. So I'm just going to pillage the castles, why not? Give away, and you can take Merv. Or I can just give them to my Khan vassals, can't I? This is a lot of stuff I'm pillaging. I'm going to have a lot of revolt risk now. Wow. Fun times. I'm going to give away the temples myself because I gain some piety whenever I do that. What is this? Even gain some new research. Never realised, but this revolt risk view is really handy for letting me know if I haven't pillaged somewhere yet. Right. Now, what's some more construction? Some majesty for some more prestige. Now my clans want more land, 6 more counties, so I'm going to give them some of these lands I've just conquered. Yeah, this is what I wanted. I need to give out 6 provinces. I'll keep the one with the most free nomad slots. I'll keep that. Let's go from west to east, I think. So, this is going to make some hideous borders. Hideous borders. This is going to happen a lot, dear listeners. What's the other one? This is the interesting thing I find about playing in a foreign territory. It's actually quite hard in some respects because you're not used to saying these terms and these words. So whereas I can instantly remember Orleans or Paris, I have to really actually think about where these places are. They just aren't right in my mind. I have a lot of special actions, but really I just want to know that I can pillage and Merv. Where is that? In Munjan. Just going to use the fine titles interface, I think, for that. And pillage away. There we go. So I can settle as feudal in lots of places if I really want to. I'm over my clan limit. But I would imagine that's not going to be a problem for too much longer. I'd hope it won't be a problem for too much longer. Too many holdings in my place of domain. Right, so I give away these. I do have rather a lot of these now. I'll eventually be dumping them, hopefully, as I'll be keeping the lovely nomadic grasslands. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of some of these. It seems getting a bit silly. There we go. That should be better. And now, most impressively, I'm going to assert the Sultanate of Persia, which should mean that all their vassals will go independent. Beautiful. So I'll be able to take that land quite nicely later on if I wish. Khanate of Persia. Excellent. I stretch quite nicely over this land. So, the Mongol Empire has started to stretch, as I said, quite nicely here. I'll probably move north in next week's episode, or next episode, because there's quite a lot of fertile land here. Cumania seems ripe. All these other bits of grassland here. I feel really satisfied with this land grab here. The last thing I might do, though, is appoint my own high chiefs, dukes, whatever they'll be down here, just to try and get someone on my side from the outset. Preferably someone intent. Infidel, etc., subjugated. Subjugated, short reign. Yes, you'll do. My idea with this is that I don't really want. I want some vassals that are pretty vaguely loyal to me. So that'll come in very handy. No content. Set the printing. Also, apparently they've added some nice keyboard shortcuts for lots of default commands, which is quite useful. Long time coming, really. Okay, you can have it. You'll probably lose it quite quickly. But I may regret creating some of these. There's lots of them already kind of existed. Don't feel too bad. I'm sure some of these should have existed before. I must have just been. Yes, I must have just destroyed them when I took land. That's interesting. I expect them to retain their own ducal titles. But apparently not. This should hopefully create some semi-loyal vassals. For a little while at least. Anything else of interest I can do? Well, I can convert to Sunni Islam if I want. I don't. Can create a commander if I'm really running out. I can choose a warhorse. Let's choose a warhorse. Why not? Sky. Why not? I don't actually know if the Mongols did this because they use a lot of different horses and so swap between them while they're riding. But we won't let a little thing like that stand in our way. Right, so I think I'm reasonably content with my bounty this episode. So next time I'll try and advance north. I think I'll try and eventually try and advance as far as Constantinople and have the City of Men's Desires as my land. A long time to tear it down, but I'm sure we can manage. Or maybe I'll head into India, start the Mughal Empire early. In fact, I might well do that. See how I get on. Well, thanks for watching everyone. Next time we'll be doing interesting things. Eventually I'm sure I will die, and I will become my heir with 123 prestige. Fortunately my rivals have minus 200 prestige and minus 100 prestige, so I don't think I'll be in much danger. Next time I'll also explore the clan politics a bit more, I've kept it a bit short this time in clan politics, but can have a bit of explore with that next time. Thank you for watching. Bye!